January 15th. Here we are for our January meeting. So excited to get rolling with this super interesting agenda of things and updates from the team. So we'll go ahead and kick off the roll call.
Okay, Carrie Albright.
In here.
Heidi Brown.
Here.
Nadia Kane.
Here.
Matt Colby.
Here.
Norman Cranston.
Right here.
Adam Hoover.
Here.
Shannon Dyke.
Here.
Mitchell Owens.
Here.
And David Parker.
Yes.
Okay, we're all present. I'm Rachel Johnson. And for the people online, I know some of you aren't feeling well. You have to keep on your cameras the whole time, unfortunately. I think you guys all know that, but just a reminder.
Rachel, we missed one and welcome. This one.
What do I see on here? Adam Martinez.
Here.
Already Martinez here, so I'm sorry about that.
We wanted to be with us. Awesome. Okay, thanks. And thanks for the folks joining remotely, especially those of you under the weather. You're champions and good sports.
They are having a little trouble hearing us. Is it just me or is it everybody?
I feel like
As
it's
more people
mostly.
have been talking, I think it's mostly Rachel.
Yeah, it's mostly Rachel.
I'm having a hard time hearing everyone, but that's just, I'll turn it up.
All right. I'll try to project more and
Put yourself at the owl.
It's the microphone.
we'll just pass the owl around the room. Perfect. Okay, great. Well, thank you for joining us, lovely remote joiners. We are now going to hopefully take a look at the December minutes. Hopefully everyone had a chance to look through those and supply any feedback or edits to Rachel as needed.
I move we approve the December minutes.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay. Polly and Parkhurst. Okay. Okay. Heidi Brown.
I didn't review the minutes.
Okay.
Do not
Abstain, yeah.
Nadia Kane.
Yes.
Matt Colby.
Yes.
Norman Cranston.
Yes.
Adam Hoover.
Yes.
Shannon Dyke.
Yes.
Adam Martinez.
Yes.
Mitchell Owens.
Yes.
David Parkhurst.
Yes.
Carrie Albright.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody for weighing in on that. At this point, we are moving along to our new business for the evening. First things first are the Title 20 Unified Development Ordinance, basically the UDO amendments. So we have Jamie with us, who is going to step in and share.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, that's great.
Okay, so I'm Jamie Kreindler. I'm the senior zoning planner and one of Rachel's coworkers in development services. So thanks for having me. And for starters, I'll go over the affordable housing incentives. This is something that went before council yesterday, I believe, but I think it got continued, so a definitive decision wasn't made yet. But what's proposed, or I guess, Rachel, can you just scroll down and show what's existing? Sorry, if you could go back
Okay,
up. Oh, you're good.
Is this existing?
No, go one page. That maybe one more. Sorry, one more up. There. Okay, so this table shows the four of the zoning districts for residential: R1, R2, R3, R4, and the maximum impervious surface coverage that's currently existing in code. So for R1, maximum impervious surface allowed is 30%, R2 is 40, R3 is 45, and then R4 is 50. And now, Rachel, you can go to the proposed amendments. So in the UDO, there's some incentives for develops. Yeah, that's a good spot. You can go up. Yep, right there is perfect. So in the current UDO, there's incentives for developers that use affordable housing as a part of their project. And this is already in the code, but one of the changes that is being proposed to council has to do with the maximum impervious surface coverage and increasing that to 80% for developments that are using affordable housing. So that is a somewhat substantial change. Obviously, it hasn't been decided on yet, but council wanted us to share this with you. And Jackie Scanlon, our assistant director, worked on this memo. So if you have questions after this meeting, I would say she's probably a good contact in planning. You can get in touch with her through Rachel or me or whatever works best. But that's the main change with the affordable housing incentive that I wanted to share. There are also some language proposed that it's intended for owner occupancy. So that's a little bit challenging to enforce, but that's a goal of council that they want to encourage occupied units rather than just rentals. So are there any questions I can answer about that change?
May I clarify, just to make sure I'm thinking about this correctly? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in these developments where there is an incentive to have more affordable housing, it doesn't change the volume of residential spaces. It is just the price point for it. Is that right so far?
I honestly don't know all the intricacies. I'd have to go back and read the code just to know exactly how it works, but I guess it's saying here, so proposed changes are intended to incentivize developers in creation of affordable housing units. So what basically we're offering is some modifications to the dimensional standards if they're using the affordable housing incentive. But I'm not prepared really to answer all the intricacies of how that works.
The thought I'm having, the reason I ask is because in my head, I'm thinking, if it is affordable housing, presumably lower income residents, if we are saying it is okay to have more impervious surface, basically thinking about what is the green space, what is the natural space, what is the, how is the soil of these areas being treated, and are we baking in some, what some might be considered like environmental justice issues about the ability for, or the priority of green space and, how that land is being used. Are we incentivizing the use of it being more parking lots, more, non-green spaces? So it's kind of rhetorical.
Yeah, so I want to understand the benefit of increasing impervious surface. Is that you're reducing the lot size? Is that or increased density?
Yeah,
What's
so
the
I think with the incentive, how it is now is it allows developers to reduce the lot sizes. So if you can maybe think of like a Habitat for Humanity project, so there's like smaller lots, and if you increase the impervious surface that's allowed, then that might allow for like a bigger house to be built on a small lot. So I think that's where some of the challenges come in with impervious surface. I mean, I totally get it from an environmental perspective. I think the idea is if you're reducing the size of lots, if you have an impervious surface coverage limitation, then you can only build a house of a certain size. So by increasing it, then you're allowing maybe a bigger house to be built on a small lot.
Shannon, did you have a question?
Yeah, I wonder why the huge jump to 80% from, the 40s or 30s. I can sort of understand the rationale you're giving, though I do really want to second Carrie's larger concern about the kind of justice issues around this, especially long term, and the need for green space. But also, why is it so huge? Why wasn't I could understand if it were a little more moderated.
That's honestly a good question. And I did not write the memo. I'm kind of presenting on behalf of Jackie, so I apologize if I don't have all the details. Maybe that's a question Rachel, that we can go back to Jackie to clarify. And I know it was important to at least some of the council members to get input from the Environmental Commission on this proposed change. So I don't know if there's the possibility of the commission writing a memo or something like that, a letter. I'm not sure how it typically works, but there may be an opportunity to do that too, so they can get your input.
Have they discussed, has the idea of if there's gonna be a reduced lot size, an increased impervious surface, if there could be like communal green space, which might be a reduction, overall reduction in, or increase impervious surface, but there could still be the additional. Have they talked about that, like requiring a green space?
I don't know if they talk about requiring green space, but I know with a lot of the developments, there are common area requirements for tree preservation and whatnot. So, like with the North Grove subdivision that some of us looked at the first time I came here, they had common areas included with the development that's set aside for tree preservation to meet those requirements, stormwater, things like that. So that's a good question too.
Clarifications or anything that would be helpful to share with Jamie? And there's more conversation to be had, but
Yeah, I mean, is there anything else we can read about this?
can you shout it into the speakers?
Is there anything else we can read to learn more about the proposal, or how soon do you need an opinion?
That's a good question. So I think they had it before council last night, but I think it got continued. Maybe in 2 weeks is when it's going back to council.
February 4th.
Say that again.
February 4th.
Okay, yeah. So did you say February 4th? That's in like 3 weeks. Yeah. Okay, so that sounds like when it's going back.
I know the council usually provides their packet the Friday before. I don't know how early before they provide the packet, that their team prefers to have a letter. I can ask on that though. Yeah, I'll ask. But as far as the memo, I mean, it's in the packet, it was in the council packet. Yeah, it's in that packet. It was in the council packet that was discussed last night. So those would be the areas to find the most information right now.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that affordable housing is a crisis, and it's something that we want to address to the best of our ability. But I do, some of these numbers, the jump to 80% feels kind of wild. And under tier 2 projects that meet the tier 2 affordability standards may increase the maximum impervious surface coverage allowance by 10%. Does that mean we'd be at 90% impervious surface? Like, I want more units, but at the same time, stormwater will still exist. So I want to know how well thought through this is, if there's going to be sufficient, detention or retention ponds on these sites, or if it's going to get us enough affordable units that then won't flood. I just have some concerns.
And I did not write the memo, and I wasn't really involved with any of the conversations. So sorry, I'm not the best translator, but doing my best. Yeah.
And if there's informal comments, you're welcome to pass that on to me, and I can pass them on to Jackie / the department. And I will find out how early or late a memo would be needed, but I didn't mean to cut you off, Heidi.
I'm just trying to understand, so the goal is to have more units on site?
Yeah.
If you have less impervious cover that you can spread out.
Yes. And Jackie had a really good, I think she was using like a post-it note diagram in her meetings. I can't replicate on the board like how she described it. She described it pretty well. But obviously there's some concern, so happy to pass those along.
Yeah. It seems that it's being designed to encourage density, which we generally support. We just want to make sure it's sensible density, I guess.
Right.
And that right, the tree canopy can continue to exist, that stormwater can be reasonably managed, that
The people that are living here don't have a lower quality of.
just that we got units in, but at what cost? So I have, again, not targeting the presenter, just I have I'm some curiosity as to how the percentage was chosen, or percentages were chosen, but then also would love to hear assurances from somebody about how that's going to function well for the future residents.
Yeah, what Rachel said reminded me of something that Jackie was sharing with us. Yeah, so like you said, part of this is to encourage density. So, preventing sprawl and the environmental concerns that come with that.
So are these all multi-family units? Or
I don't
is this?
know.
Okay, so
It says in here, single family and duplex residential lots.
okay.
Jamie, can you describe the differences between like R1 to R4 if you know on the top of your head? It's okay if you don't.
Yeah, so the R1 through R4 are generally the lower density zoning districts, so not the ones that are for multifamily and those bigger projects. So yeah, some of the differences are the maximum pervious surface coverage, minimum lot size, setbacks, things like that. So generally the R1 would have the bigger lots, though they're still relatively small, I would say, in city of Bloomington.
Do the remote, like the zoomed in commissioners have any questions? I know we've been talking about them a lot.
I'll just also say that, I spent some time trying to make sense of this document, which is, there's a lot here. And it would be nice if we had a little bit more time to sit with it and try to understand it. It'd also be nice if we, Rachel, can we send questions to you about it?
Definitely.
I do think that all of the issues that have been raised are really important issues, but I can't entirely get my head around all of these. There's the sort of the changes you just mentioned, but then of course there's all the other environmental changes also below in the document. So it's unfortunate unfortunate that we only have before February 4th to weigh in on this.
If there aren't more specific questions for Jamie, to get a temperature of the EC as far as this goes, like we just said, there's a council meeting on the 4th, and we would likely need to get this to them at least by the Friday before, but probably days before that. So the last week of January. Do folks want to make some time to write a letter, write a memo? I know that we want to make sure we are well researched, we understand this, we're saying what we want to say. We also don't have a lot of time. So how do people feel about prioritizing this in one way or another?
I think I'd be curious to hear the answers to some of the questions we had before going either way on it.
Okay, so the questions I have written down, are Carrie's question, and I wanna know, we aren't allowed to use environmental justice as, reasonings for our decisions. So, are we incentivizing areas that are utilizing affordable homes and reducing the amount of green space for those areas? Did that kind of capture the spirit of the question?
Yeah.
Okay. The quick notes, and if there's, if maybe a certain threshold of impervious surface occurs, can a communal green space be required? And then overall, want to understand the jump to 80 and just how that 80%, how that was chosen. Does that kind of cover?
And then Matt's question about like stormwater drainage, retention ponds, anything that might be needed to offset if
that's also contributing to or outside of the 80%.
Yeah.
Is that the question?
Yeah.
I wanted to clarify something. When I read this, it seems to me like this isn't talking about like building an entire neighborhood that is, 80% impervious. It's like if there's an existing lot, for example, you could increase the amount of impervious coverage, but that wouldn't necessarily mean like the entire neighborhood has the full 80%, right?
Jamie, is it by lot or is it by like entire development? Do you know?
I think it's specifically for the developments that are using the affordable housing incentives and following the regulations in that section of code.
Yeah, so I guess it could be an individual lot, but it's more likely to be a larger development than.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
And I'm looking forward to hearing answers. With what we know so far, I'm interested in writing them. But getting some answers may shape that or even potentially make me walk that back. I also might try to attend on the 4th. But yeah, looking forward to more information and tentatively interested in writing a memo.
Yeah. Okay, I think that sounds good. I think the best next step is please try to read this. Please try to educate yourself on anything you have questions on, or if there's more questions you have. We have a wonderful senior environmental planner that is our liaison who can likely answer basic questions about city planning and things like that. If you have them, it will really help us write a letter more efficiently and probably more effectively if we are like looking into the things we have questions about. And that's why these kinds of like ad hoc, spitballing conversations are a little hard when it's helpful having a presenter. So thank you, Jamie.
Yeah, no problem.
But it sounds like if we're able to get Jackie's responses, do we want to set a tentative sort of ECPC-ish, because it's within that bucket, a tentative ECPC meeting right now, and then we cancel it if there's suddenly this great consensus of, okay, we don't need to weigh in. Do we want to set something now so we follow through with it?
Might as well over here.
We love meetings, so fun. So we have all of next week. And then the week after that is the final week of January. We have to submit whatever we're gonna do. Does it make sense for us to try to schedule something next week then to write a memo?
Rachel, is it expected that we'd be able to get answers pretty fast?
I can send Jackie an email first thing tomorrow morning or when I get home tonight, just, I know the questions are important, time is of the essence, so. I'll send her an email, and maybe try to shoot for a meeting with her first thing. But yeah, I'm hoping that she can answer questions pretty, soon.
In the past, we've scheduled ECPC meetings on Tuesdays at 5:30. That would be the 20th at 5:30. Do we want to tentatively plan one? We could do that, or we could do.
We can't do that one, it's within the 48 hours since Monday's a holiday.
Oh, it is. Okay, so Thursday, for example. What do you, anyone who wants to join can weigh in. We obviously have a maximum of how many of us can gather in one place at one time. But, especially for folks who are on the ECPC, what time works for you? What day works for you?
We have a light pollution working group meeting Wednesday at 7. Aside from that, I'm good.
Okay.
So
think-
Thursday would work for me.
Thursday, 6 or 7?
Nadia, Reese?
Yeah, I'm only probably ever gonna be available like 6:30 or 7 in the evenings, just because I'm driving back from Indy every single day. But that's like doesn't have to necessarily determine anything. But if it's later, I'll be more likely to attend it.
Okay, thank you for that, and thanks for doing this, even though you're driving so much all the time. I'm so sorry. So like
Thursday at 7?
7 Thursday. Rachel, can you see if it is? Oh, wait.
I guess my only clarification is who are the 5 people who want to be physically present? Because if we're picking a time based on, I don't know, not a fully.
The ECPC is officially Adam, Matt, Carrie, Mitchell, David, and then Norm and Nadia have thrown their hats into maybe like stay in the loop. So technically, if all 5 of us go, that's full roster.
Okay.
And if people know they're not available for that, especially those 5 people I just named.
I won't be.
You won't be, okay, so we've got an opening.
Yeah, we want all the input that we can get, but
Right,
I would go Thursday evening.
okay. Right, and Nadia, it sounds like you would, if it was like at 7 o'clock, that you would be interested in joining?
Yeah.
Okay. Mitchell, if it was 7 o'clock next Thursday, is that a time that you would be able to join, or would you like to offer your seat to someone else?
I was gonna say, I think I'm gonna have strong feelings, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to have time to come because I just was out this entire week and need to catch up on life and stuff. So I don't think I'll be able to make it.
Okay. Thank you for your honesty, Mitchell. Okay, okay, so we have Heidi. I would be happy to go. Matt would like to go. Anne would like to go. And then,
No, yeah, makes 5.
Okay. Great. Well, if that works for 7 o'clock next Thursday.
Let's see, what rooms are available?
Packing, belly room.
Yeah, I think Kelly's the best option.
No, you had to say it.
Or, the Dunlop room, which is over here, they're about the same
Same
size.
size.
I think Kelly's it might be a little bit bigger, so.
Okay.
Okay, there's 5 of us.
That's true. All right, okay, so 7 o'clock in the Kelly room, and we will go through.
I'm so
Ready?
sorry, would you, okay, so I try to give a buffer so nobody's running over. McCloskey's available starting at 7. I don't know if there's another group that might run over though. Do you want me to stick with Kelly, just to be safe?
Honestly, Kelly's okay with me as long
Kelly's
as we
okay.
can get past the doors.
Okay, yeah, I'll make sure of that. Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Great, great, okay, we'll look forward to hearing back from Jackie and putting together a memo, yeah. Any other thoughts or input people would like to share before we move to the next event within our agenda? Okay.
And I also think I have to show everybody on here, so I'm trying to figure out how to best do that and show.
I think when.
If I split screen, I don't know if I can do that easily. I don't know. I'm gonna try my
You
best.
may have to show everybody if we're voting, right?
Use Windows and then the arrow keys. It'll
You wanna
automatically.
pin the 3 people that are commissioners?
That's a good idea.
No,
The
Cause we don't need to see our screens.
No, does it only let you do one?
No, it should let you do multiple.
It's, all the others are just asking to replace pin.
Okay, we'll do it all for voting. I wonder. Replace pen, cause I wonder if it'll lump everybody else to the bottom. There we go.
Okay.
Okay, Jamie, moving on to the environmental amendments. I will zoom in a little bit and see if I can finagle this.
Okay, so I will run through some of our proposed amendments that have some environmental considerations for 2026, and I will definitely credit Rachel since she worked very closely with me on putting this list together, and she was involved with a lot of the conversations about the proposed amendments. We also worked some with Haskell Smith, the urban forester, and he had some input from the tree commission, so you'll see some of those changes in here. For example, the first 2, or the first 3 actually, first 3 rows are cleaning up some of the language to remove ornamental trees, just to remove the word ornamental from the code, and just clarifying the size of canopy trees. So clarifying small, medium canopy and large canopy trees when appropriate. And then row 4 here is adding a new allowed disturbance in the stream side zone for zone 1 riparian buffer. So it's allowing demolition of existing structure with some conditions attached to that, and requiring a remediation plan to be approved by Rachel, in this case, senior environmental planner. So that's what that's about.
To expand on this one, to build something in the riparian zone, if it's not an allowed disturbance, that would still require a variance. This is so any like sheds or other structures that are currently in there, it gets it out if they want, and there can be a remediation plan, so then it's going back to more of a native, healthy streamside landscape, rather than having a building that people might be going in and out of, or if it's abandoned, whether not letting it be run down. Are there any questions about this one?
Were you saying that the removal is now no longer requires a variance?
The removal does not require a variance.
Gotcha, okay.
Yes.
Okay,
And were
and
there
then-
any questions about the ornamental trees? Okay,
No.
go ahead, Jamie, sorry.
Oh, you're totally fine. Feel free to jump in whenever. So the next one is changing right now. It's a 2-acre threshold. It's changing the 2 acres, reducing it to 1 acres for minimum required vegetation. And we are kind of cleaning up some of the language. So we're adding language preference may be given to protecting heritage trees that are of particular value due to their type, size, or age. And I know, Rachel, you were involved with this change too, so feel free to add
Yeah.
anything that you want.
I'll jump in here too. So this is part of the tree preservation section. This piece of code gave the director some, an authorization to provide smaller parcels of 2 acres or less leniency on the tree preservation standards. So, we are reducing that to 1 acre, so 1+ now needs to, comply with those and doesn't have that kind of discretion with the director like it used to. They would need a variance, if they are exceeding the tree preservation requirements.
Who's the director?
David Hiddle.
Hmm.
He's been at a couple of these meetings,
Oh.
but any questions about that one? Okay. Go ahead, Jamie.
Okay, and then the next one is modifying the language for slopes. And this is to be consistent with the change in state law. So just changing that from 12 to 25%. And then Rachel and I worked on these next few too. So there's just some formatting changes with the floodway section. And if you keep going, Rachel, the last one here says any activity exempted from a floodplain development permit does not need a conditional use approval. So that's the language that would be added on here.
Yeah, so the formatting errors, the rest of the code uses the Roman numerals, this piece of code uses the capital letters, so just making that consistent. This new section is things like signs don't need a floodplain development permit to put a sign into a flood zone. So right now, when there's a list of things that need a conditional use approval through the Board of Zoning Appeals. And so we're saying for the activities exempted from the permit side, they also don't need that conditional use approval. Any questions? Okay.
All right, and then this next one is adding language that says for auto sales, electric vehicle charging requirements are only based on customer and employee parking.
Do you need a second to digest this one? Okay. So I'll say, I think this one's coming from, Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong, you've received a couple of petitions, of car sales, businesses. And so the way the code reads is for the entire parking lot. So, these display spots of these, vehicles for sale, they were technically contributing to what is required. And so the Board of Zoning Appeals was going ahead and approving these variances from the standard. So this is making, the kind of the pattern of what the BZA was approving and putting it into code.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Okay.
Thanks for clarifying, Rachel.
Yeah.
Okay, you probably know more about the recent history than me. So the next one is regarding street lighting plans. So there was a change, I think, last year with the TRO overlay district with the street lighting. And this is just adopting that same language in the MD downtown district of code.
And you can go ahead.
Keep going. Okay. And then the next one is having to do, so we're adding language that only the urban forester and the senior environmental planner have, they can approve columnar trees, but otherwise they're not allowed. So that's just clarifying that.
And that was at a request from Haskell, the urban forester. So. Oops, sorry.
And then what we're proposing to add some language about stormwater management facilities. So regarding the substitutions. It says a maximum 30% may be substituted or as approved by the planning and transportation director. And I think that had to do with conversations with CBU. Do you know more about that, Rachel?
I don't know the full history. It was, kind of in brief from my understanding. There were development complaints about, what was required by CBU in addition to planning. So I think it's consolidating, that list and having that, substitution to be a maximum of 30% whenever stormwater plantings are being utilized at the site. Does that sound right, Jamie?
Yeah, I think so.
Any questions about this one? So this one would be overall reducing the amount of landscaping required.
And then the next one is regarding street trees. So it's allowing for street tree plantings, they can be reduced to 1.5-inch caliper if approved by the urban forester. So I think some of this is to maybe be a little bit pro developer or just yeah. So right now it's 2 inches, so it'd be giving the developers some flexibilities to reduce that to 1.5-inch caliper if approved by the urban forester. And this is only for street trees.
Yep, and Haskell was okay with this, and we put this for only street trees and not interior trees, because street trees are highly managed. In that first year, the developer has to keep them alive, and then after that first year, it's turned over to the urban forester, I think it's the year. Turned over to the urban forester, and then it's, kept alive by the city and managed by the city. So that's why, we are requiring the approval from Haskell, but, it's only applying to street trees.
Okay, the tree protection barrier language, that was actually already adopted in code, but it wasn't in Muni. What was it? It was like in our PDF, but not in Muni code. So we just wanted to make sure it was consistent.
Making sure it was consistent, but this one was just removing, there was a dot at the end of activity, so this one's just,
Oh, yeah.
reducing one of the periods and not
Yeah.
making it as ominous, so.
Yeah, so that's a minor typo cleanup. The next one is adding language, mulch or decorative stone is allowed within 12 inches of ground mechanicals. And later in this document, you'll see that we add a definition to define decorative stone as well. The plastic net.
Oh, sorry, Jamie, go ahead, Dave.
What are ground mechanicals?
I think those are like, air conditioning units, or, if there's outdoor freezers, is that what that is referring to, Jamie?
Sounds right to me. I can look it up.
Okay.
Not all of these were presented by Jamie or myself, these are, things that we discussed as a group, but I'm not intrinsically familiar with everything. Anything that seemed environmental, I push to present to everybody, so, if you want a definition of what kind of ground mechanicals could be, I'm thinking it's like HVAC units and, outdoor refrigeration.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jamie.
Okay, and then the plastic netting language, this, if I recall correctly, was previously in code and then it got removed and now it's coming back. I don't know if that had to do with certain titles that manage it, like MS4.
Yes,
had
so
it in-
this
yeah.
This one, was in the UDO in Title 20 when, we monitored erosion control. Erosion control was moved to Title 13, which is the title CBU administers. New state law doesn't allow, erosion control agencies, to have this type of ordinance, so we are putting it back into Title 20.
All right, and then the next few are changes that Haskell worked with us on. So we're adding choke cherry single stem as a tree. And for the smoke tree, the parentheses is referring to it with the parentheses, it means it's prohibited as an interior tree. So we're removing the parentheses so it'd be allowed. And there was a typo with the shining sumac, so that's being fixed. And then new, is it called taxonomy? Is that how it's referred to?
Yeah.
With the so there's new taxonomy with, I don't even know how you say that, but
That species of oak.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head
Okay.
either.
Okay. And then we're adding some language about the separation for street trees. So it's 4 feet or as required for utility separation. Sometimes you see those conflicts. So we just wanted to allow that in the code. We did some work with our engineering department as well and just cleaned up some language. So right now it's referred to as transportation and traffic engineer, and we're changing that to city engineering department. And we're adding language for parking lots with 20 or more parking spaces. There should not be more than 10 parking spaces in a row without a landscape bump out, island, or end cap.
I can clarify on this one. So this language, we were having, theoretically, if there was a parking lot with like 50 parking spaces, they could put all of their islands or bump outs in one section. So this language is just adding so they are more evenly distributed.
Which I think does have some climate benefits too that you mentioned, Rachel.
Yeah.
The next few are similar to what you saw earlier, just cleaning up the ornamental tree language and clarifying when it's a small medium tree or a large tree.
And these changes we were already interpreting in that way, just clarifying for the sake of developers. And I think, are we on this,
Yeah.
this one? Okay.
Yep, I think so. So this one would be removing the last sentence that says a minimum of 75% of the required trees shall be canopy trees. Do you remember some of the reasoning with that one?
I think, the way that we were summing up, there is no way if, or it was always possible, I think, if they're being required to do these minimum amounts, it's always going to be 75% or greater, so it just seemed
Yeah.
redundant, or
Yeah.
confusing.
It's basically covered by the first sentence. So like Rachel said, it's a bit redundant. All right, I think we can keep going unless there's questions.
And some of the, just additional clarifications of, removing ornamental, adding small, medium, or large. Okay.
This next one is taking out the last sentence where it says in cases where a stormwater management permit is not required, no development shall occur unless the site development permit has been issued.
So this one's for the floodplain development permit. Usually they're hand in hand whenever a floodplain development permit is required. Previously or currently, I should say, that a site development plan or permit is always required. The proposal is to remove the site development permit part of it, so it would just be a standalone permit in some cases. There can still be another permit if it meets the threshold for site development permit.
And then I think if you need more clarification on what common area lot is, I'm happy to provide that, but this is refining the definition for common area and just clarifying that a common area does not provide relief from zoning requirements that would normally exist between a property and adjacent properties. So I don't know if there was or attempts at like a loophole in the past or whatnot, but basically the common area isn't supposed to be the buffer between adjacent properties. So this is just kind of preventing any loopholes that might try to do that. And I think why Rachel wanted to bring it to you is that common areas oftentimes are used for environmental benefits, tree preservation, and things like that.
Yep.
And now we're on the last page. So this is the proposed definition for decorative stone. It says natural stone that is washed or finished, where the total aggregate utilizes at least 2 inches in size as an alternative to mulch. And the last two are again just cleaning up that ornamental tree language. So that's what I have.
Any questions for Jamie for right now?
And this is all in the packet from the agenda tonight.
And at this time, I think this will go before Plan Commission in March. On March 9th is the date that we have right now. So to include these proposed changes, and there's a bunch of other ones too, but these are the ones that we flagged as having the most relevance to the Environmental Commission.
And so Jamie, if they wanted to write a letter to the plan commission, would that be needed by the department about like 10 days before?
Yeah, that sounds right. We try to get the packets out about a week in advance. So yeah, I would say if you could shoot for 10 days beforehand, then that would, definitely get it into the packet by then.
So as folks are able to review this, if there are things that stand out from this specific proposal that we want to weigh in on, or people feel strongly about considering writing a memo for this, we would just need to lock it down in our February meeting. So. Okay. Thank you, Jamie.
Okay, appreciate y'all. Yeah, thanks for having me. All right, I'm going to sign off, but enjoy the rest of your meeting, and thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thanks again.
All right, see ya.
Thanks. All right. That was a lot, but hopefully people felt like that was cool to have like the walkthrough of the proposed changes. I feel like that's something that we talk a lot about, so being able to hear it and have multiple people explain it through is nice.
If there's questions as you guys go through it, feel free to message me, or if there's more context needed on why a certain change is being proposed, feel free to message me.
Sounds good.
Okay, I think the next agenda item is me,
Yes.
the handbook update. So I don't think everybody was here last meeting, so I'll just cover it quickly again. I think this is page 37, yes, okay. So, I recently found this out, that Bloomington Municipal Code, has attendance requirements for commissioners. So the, rule is you cannot miss more than 3, or if you miss 3 consecutive meetings, or 4 regularly scheduled meetings within a 12-month period, it's potential reason for the removal. So while the EC itself cannot remove you, the council or mayor, whatever the appointing body that appointed you can remove you. I think the EC thought previously that would be good just to put this in the handbook for clarification. I don't think we had an attendance note in the handbook before outside of the Zoom requirements. So were there any questions about the attendance?
And this is just a monthly meeting, so it's not
Yes.
in group stuff or anything, it's just for the monthly ones. Questions? Cool.
I think this one called for a vote because it's a modification.
So it's right in this.
Yeah.
These teams.
I move that we approve the handbook as amended.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, Nadia Kane,
Yes.
Matt Colby,
Yes.
Norman Crampton.
Yes.
Adam Boutifer,
Yes.
Shannon Guy,
Yes.
Adam Martinez.
Yes.
Mitchell Owens,
Yes.
David Parkhurst.
Yes.
Carrie Albright,
But yes.
Heidi Brown.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great, thanks all. All right, well then, we're gonna move on to the next item. Here we are. Next item on the list is the commission residency requirement. That was basically a follow-up to what Matt Flaherty came and talked to us about last month, where it was discussing if we had any strong opinions on how we consider commissioners that are not within the city limits, that are potentially within Monroe County as far as being eligible for the EC. And looking at my notes, Matt's language, because it was a little bit like, if we have a problem, we should say something. I think that's what it was, but let me double check to make sure I'm correct. Let's see. If we want to change, okay, so I have that the potential to have the maximum number of residents live outside the city, and it's that, so my notes say that if it's something that we want to change, that we want to recommend that they extend some form of the EC's commissioner positions or any of the commissions, positions to include county, that we would want to write some sort of document supporting that. Our conversation last month had to do with thinking about what benefit can it bring to have somebody from outside the city limits who's still part of the Monroe County community, specifically when we talk about things like air, soil, and water, which doesn't necessarily follow the lines of the city. What do we think about that? Is that something we want to intentionally say we would like to have that consideration, or we support that consideration being worked into the language for commissioner consideration? As of last month, we didn't say we have a strong, yes, let's write something up. We were kind of like, we're open to what they decide on a larger scale and don't have particularly strong feelings one way or the other. Does anyone want to revisit that stance while we have a moment? Nice. Okay. Sounds like we're all okay with riding the tides of what that committee is considering. I haven't heard anything else from Matt as far as if this is leaning in one direction. So we can continue that conversation as it comes through.
I did put it as a voting item. Do you care to take a quick vote on just that's the stance of what we're doing?
My thought is that because
We're not doing anything.
yeah, because we're not responding to anything at this time. Does that, anybody have any strong opinions on that?
That's how I felt as well. Since we don't have a particularly strong stance, I don't see a point in recording it as a vote at this time.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay, the next thing on the list is tree commission seat. So Dave has been serving as our amazing tree commission representative at the recurring meetings and has been reporting back to us every month. But I believe Dave's last meeting was this week.
I resigned from the tree commission on this past Monday,
Oh, all right. Officially. Okay, and so what we know is that let's see, tree commission takes place every third Monday of the month.
except for,
Not this one.
except for, when there's a university, Dr. Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah,
So-
and I assume if like.
So that's why
Labor
we
Day-
met on the second Monday instead of the third Monday, but. yeah.
Gotcha. So outside of holidays, it'd be third Monday of the month at 9:30, and it sounds like they are now meeting in City Hall for these meetings.
Yeah, yes, except that as it gets warmer, they'll probably meet in city parks as well.
Ooh, that's
So
fun.
it had to do with, they couldn't meet out at the,
Cemetery.
out by the cemetery because it wasn't, open for wheelchairs and things.
Gotcha.
But if they could pick a city park that was available for wheelchairs, they would probably meet there. At some point as the weather improves, so.
Okay. Did you get the impression that if we have a few months without a designated EC rep, that would be okay, or do they need to have a clear line?
I got no impression one way or the other.
Okay. Is there anybody that knows they'd be interested in at least going to maybe a few months worth of these meetings that would like to raise their hand on it?
I don't think there's a virtual option for these meetings,
Yeah.
as far as I know.
Okay. Okay, all right, well, please think about it, think about your Mondays, think about your schedule. In the past, it's been really helpful just because there is so much that the urban forester, is doing and that the tree commission is working towards that is relevant to us. It's really, really helpful having that representative there. But obviously, if this mix of folks doesn't have the availability for that, that's okay too, so. Okay, well, think about it. Thank you again, Dave, for doing that for us for so long. Speaking of things that the EC does, we're at the working group update section. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass it to Matt, who I believe is our point on biodiversity.
Biodiversity has not met since we last met, and we have not set a regular meeting time either. Still looking forward to particularly habitat connectivity reach and our work, and that'll probably blend with outreach working group at some point, but do not currently have a meeting set.
In this moment, do you want to set a meeting or just wait until you feel like you've got a more concrete agenda?
I must admit, I am not in a big hurry to schedule those meetings, especially with the amount of effort Eco Heroes is going to take up until April.
Perfect. Good
So
transition.
I'm gonna probably, unless there's a call for an urgent matter, gonna wait a little bit on biodiversity.
Cool. I think between the outreach and the Eco Heroes group, biodiversity is probably covered pretty well. Okay, great. Eco Heroes, so we are off and running, and Rachel was kind enough to print out some of the flyers that we've made. If you are somebody who is interested and able, sorry, remote folks, interested and able to put these up around town, there are a handful of different designs. We are going to be sending them to the different educators in town to share them with their students, share them across their faculty. And I'm gonna actually pass these around to the group. If you think you have a place that you wanna put these up, please do, please let us know. We're trying to cover as much ground as possible to get the word out about the submission.
Can you share a PDF or a PowerPoint? And then I could share in my classes.
Heck, yes, absolutely. And so these are basically our call for entries, and we are, at our last meeting, we got through a lot of stuff, but we talked through the sponsorship and donor list. And so Rachel, I wanted to ask you, we have this great big list that we've come up with, and I would love for anyone on the EC to be able to look at that to say if they have like a personal contact that they could reach out to. Is there a way for me to give you that list and you share it with the group, or for us to do something with that? Or does that need to be like?
I can ask, I think it might have to be in a public setting.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to display.
Okay,
I can
Alright.
ask, so.
okay, that'd be great. And in the meantime, we're basically solidifying the language for our sponsors, the list of sponsors, the places that we'd like to put some of these flyers up. If we need more flyers, we can get more of them, but ideally we'd have a really good turnout this year. There's a lot of excitement from our group. Heidi has put together a big resource list of a ton of different ways to think about the theme and lots of supporting material for educators. And, oh, is it on there?
Yes.
Oh, yay. Okay, awesome. So this is this great big list of all these different resources that people can use to learn more about the topics if they're looking for some inspiration on what to do.
So that's on the QR code.
The QR code takes you to the Eco Heroes page.
Sorry, where did you get to this? How did you get to this?
It's
linked on it.
Right there.
yeah.
It's linked on the page.
Yeah, and then we also have this great list of ideas that Adam came up with of ways to interpret the theme. So if people are trying to think of like, I don't know, what am I supposed to do? Like make a painting? I don't know. It's a bunch of really creative takes on the topic of our nature at night. So hopefully that will help people kind of unlock some creativity when it comes to thinking through the theme. We are starting to accept entries on St. Patrick's Day, and we will accept them through the 7th of April, knowing that we might have to extend it by like 24 hours if when we inevitably have everyone submit theirs the last second. But yeah, this is out. I think, Rachel, you said that you were working on a press release that the city, who had to review all of our materials, has agreed to help share some of that stuff. We obviously can post some of this on social media. So I think we're just trying to get the word out, get people excited about it, really think about the different interpretations of this theme. And to our guests here, anyone can submit something. It can be any, I mean, ideally from Bloomington, but it can be whatever take you want on it. And yeah, we're eager to get this up and rolling.
I will say from the city side, I've done the website update, the budget, I set with the controller's office, so things can get moving on that too whenever you're ready to order. And then, there is an upcoming Earth Day meeting, the first Earth Day meeting, planning meeting as a group, so, I will be attending that. So,
Awesome. And do you have notes from last year about like anything from our group that we shared? Like, oh, this part was really awesome, or this part wasn't awesome.
I think the biggest thing I remember is that it was hard to hear, so was that the main item? They're aware of the audio complaints, so,
Yeah, I know, so bad.
was that, I think that was the big thing.
I think that was the majority of it. I think the rest of it, unless Adam, you remember anything else, was us deciding what we were doing with our time. And, you know, we had like some interactive stuff that people were doing, which was really cool. So.
If we're still hoping to get like pictures, I think we ideally would have like a sort of streamlined, like, you know, you go on stage, you get your thing, then you step here and get your picture, and just
Yeah.
kind of a flow through it.
Yeah, so maybe just kind of verifying that that flow of things makes sense, like we'll have the person come up, they get their handshake from a city representative, they get a certificate, they get their prize, and they get a photo. And I think last year, yeah, it was a little bit of trying to make sure that was working and also the sound being so.
Can you go through that flow chart again?
So they get a handshake from a city representative, they receive a certificate, they receive a gift bag, and they get their photo. And maybe not in that order, but.
The photo would be with the
Maybe
city.
with the city
With the
representative?
handshake?
Yeah.
Okay, and then lining up for all of these things.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question, do we have city legal approved language for either the emails to the educators or to the potential sponsors? I don't remember on our timeline when we wanted those things sent out, but it feels like now-ish.
I think the educators, it was retroactive, but they said that was fine, and I think the sponsor letter was included in that file, so they said yes to that.
Is there a specific date you want me to have those sent out on or by? I can't remember from our.
It was supposed to be on Monday, but because of just the approval process, we're still waiting. It would be, I mean, I guess it would be like as soon as you're able, and it would include, in theory, it would include like specific links to the resource list, maybe to Adam's idea list, and then to a couple of these graphics, so we can get you that.
Okay.
And you can send all of those things. Great. And again, it opens on St. Patrick's Day, so our idea is to get people interested and thinking about it, so when the doors open, they already have it ready instead of starting it. Anything I missed for Eco Heroes? That's kind of the big thing we're doing right now, so I feel like takes a little bit more space. Anybody? Awesome, okay, then passing it along to the ECPC, which Rachel is there.
Yeah, no meeting had occurred, or it was canceled last week, I think, I will say the 2511 North Dunn site, the North Road that ECTC decided not to write a letter on, had a lot of public comment at the planning commission. I was off work, but I watched some of the planning commission and some of the comments. So it will be going back to planning commission and then going to the Board of Zoning Appeals. So if there is a change of heart of writing a letter, something can still be submitted. But for now, I think the decision was no letter to be written. And then I think our next meeting is scheduled outside of the meeting on the 22nd. The next meeting will be on February 5th during the day at 11:30, and that's if there are petitions that should be presented to ECPC, and then a meeting on February 10th without staff for a letter to be written again, if you so choose.
What time is the February 10th one?
That one is at 5:30 p.m.
Yeah.
Any questions for ECPC?
Cool. I believe.
So we have a meeting, I just said Wednesday, next Wednesday at 7 p.m. here. I think we only have 4 people planning on attending right now, so if one more person wants to join, you're more than welcome. We're probably gonna keep it pretty easy again because of the Eco Heroes thing. Yeah. That's it for us.
I did get a sense, I was in a meeting today with Parks and, they might be somewhat open to reducing light at parks properties.
Mhm.
Their number one priority is safety, so, but I think that might be a discussion that could be some.
Okay.
So,
Good.
Okay. Outreach and education met just before this meeting. Do either of you wanna share kind of what we chatted through? Adam, you want to? Look at you, you're so ready.
So primarily we talked about, the organization of the resource materials that we have on the Environmental Commission website. So the landing page has at the bottom of the page has a, brochures and fact sheet link. And that link, the information is, the title of the page, once you get to it, is natural landscaping. Yeah, so what we were thinking is this would be a landing page for all of the beyond just landscaping, other materials that we'd like to include. So would change the title of this page to brochures or, and then have subcategories beneath it, which will include natural landscaping. But then what other categories did we think about?
Maybe discuss that some categories could be kind of inspired by working groups. There could be a category with water type information. There could be a category that has some of our dark sky resources from the light pollution group. We don't want to flood any particular subject matter, so we want to decide what, you know, the most important and or current resources are to us, but this way it can be more than just landscaping, but can be kind of a landing spot for various environmental information.
Yeah, and we talked about, because we have all these great working groups and all these lovely leads to the working groups, our thought was to be able to flesh out the brochures and facts page, that we would ask each working group to provide 3-ish links to resources that are either sort of good starting points that are, you know, well kept up, that are appropriate, that our city will approve us putting on the city website, but also thinking about what's relevant to Bloomington. And people who are in the city of Bloomington are most likely the ones who are gonna be looking at these pages. So when it comes to light pollution, if there's any material that is relevant to Southern Indiana or whatever it is, in a way that is an easy link that would be approved by the city for its content and its quality, we would love to ask each working group to provide maybe 3 links, and it could be a PDF too, if that's the right fit. It just needs to be something they can add, and then we just do those subtitles for each of those topics, and then have a little material on each of them. Yeah. Anything else?
I have a question about informational brochures. As you know, we have talked a bit about producing some info for homeowners with lawnmowers about cutting the frequency of grass cutting. I've been thinking about it. You've seen some copy that may become part of it. I just wanted to very quickly show you what it might show like. The whole idea is very simple. Don't cut your grass every week if you can let it go 2 weeks. And you will then have a very important effect on your personal production of greenhouse gas. And you've seen some copy of this already, and I'd like your advice on proceeding, like design and distribution. It should be a flyer of some kind. Where might it be distributed? Through the city, perhaps? I was thinking of stuffing it into a water bill, but I don't know whether the water department will approve that. There's one way to get it out to everybody, but some kind of mass distribution that's easy and doesn't cost much and gets the idea out.
Gotcha.
Preferably before we all start cutting grass again in the spring.
I think this has actually been on our agenda for the last few months to make sure that we had time to talk about it. And I know it's not on this one necessarily, but when it comes to the copy, I think our first step was doing like maybe an op-ed. Is that we were talking about doing something for for the newspaper is kind of like our first.
Oh,
yeah,
That's
for
our
sure.
first step.
Yeah, I remember what was last shared with us, and I can't remember how many months ago that was.
Yeah.
I thought it
Summer.
I thought it read a lot like a guest column, and that would be a very reasonable place to start.
Yeah.
They're good, and they're a one-time reach, which is a bit of a drawback.
Sure.
And the paper has a decreasing circulation, although it's online. Yeah.
Yeah, it did. I guess
In other words, I don't think it's a very good place for this information. That's
Sure,
my personal opinion.
The appeal to me, I suppose, was also how immediate it can be. That is something that, if you have a copy, whether, I don't know if that actually, if it's going to go out as the EC, I don't know if we need to vote, or if you're just going to publish it as yourself, then I don't imagine that it would. But that's a thing that can be done on any timeline, rather than having to make sure we have a brochure right and have a distribution plan and everything, as we're already, as spring is a lot in the EC.
I will say, like, were you done? I didn't mean to cut you
Sure,
off.
you're good.
If anything is making the newspaper or anything being posted online, if you are referencing yourself as a member of the environmental commission, it has to be approved through the city. If you're representing yourself as a resident of Bloomington or whatnot, as an individual person, and not referencing your affiliation with the environmental commission, representing the environmental commission, I should say, I think that's fine. But any type of like language as a representation of the EC that's largely distributed should be reviewed by the city.
I don't think of this as a Norm Crampton project at all. It's an EC project. And I'm assuming that I would bring in copy for you all to review and say, yeah, okay, go ahead. It has to be, that's how it has to be done,
Yeah.
I think, by the commission. It's
So
not
I think that's, I mean, I think what you've talked about before, like, I think you're talking to the right folks about the kinds of, priorities we have. So in the annual planning meeting, one of the things we did was we talked about the different initiatives that we thought would be useful for us to prioritize in the year, and education and outreach were one of those,
Right.
reviewing our materials and all of that. Part of it is either being in one of the working groups to help escort that along, or being able to provide the materials through whatever channel it has to be to get to the working group that then can look at it and decide what to do with it. Do you have interest in joining the outreach and education working group to help with this, or would you prefer to craft something that then gets sent through for our next meeting? That's gonna be the smoothest way to do it, is to
The
like
latter,
have it.
craft something for the next meeting. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so I would say what I think would be helpful
Mhm.
is, especially if it's like a flyer that you're going to have like be a little
Mhm.
jazzy. Do you mind if I steal this real quick? So like if you had like a flyer, it could be that you just like write whatever the words you want and just like draw a little circle of like, this might be a picture, or like, this might be a thing that has detailed information in it, or whatever. Like, it doesn't have to be finalized, but just an idea of what you're thinking. And then the education and outreach group can then take a look at it and either give feedback on it or figure out how to workshop it or whatever it would be. And then we could bring that back to, whatever the next EC meeting is. And then ultimately, depending on how the group feels about it, then run it through the city communications person to get approval on, like, is it okay for us to even make this? And then where are we gonna put it? How are we gonna share it with whomever it is? So it's like a multi-part process,
Yeah.
but that might be a good way to start.
So at the next meeting, if I bring something in that looks exactly what it should be and circulate it and everybody can look at it, would that work?
I mean,
I mean,
I think,
it's,
yeah, Bart
it's,
said
it's,
yes.
it's an idea on paper.
Yeah, even if it was perfect on paper that everybody decided that's something to move forward with. At the February meeting, people could not take copies of that and distribute it.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Okay.
No, I'm thinking purely for discussion and recommendations and revisions by you all.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, that sounds great. If you would,
Okay.
for the next meeting, that'd be great. And we can add that to the agenda.
Yeah.
Of things we talk
Okay,
about.
good.
Cool.
If you can send me a proof or something before the
will.
meeting, I'll put it in the packet, so that I can look at it.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, great. All right, so I'll add that to the notes. Anything else on the education and outreach side of it that we didn't cover?
Oh, I had a question.
Yeah.
Is there any way to see how many people are going to the webpage and which links they're actually using? Yeah. Like, how useful is?
I can ask.
You could, yeah,
I
that'd be
can't
great.
see, I can't see
That'd be
it.
great to know.
Okay.
RITS might be able to see it. I don't know. I can figure out who to ask if they can, so.
Yeah, I'm sure that the information's out there.
No one's going there, really.
It's definitely possible, whether or not they actually keep track of it.
Yeah, yeah, they may not, but it would be nice if they did, if we were able to access. Okay. All right, the special projects working group has not done anything, although Mitchell will probably start talking through the item stuff, assuming it's still out there. Probably start putting that on the agenda soon, so TBD. Speaking of Mitchell, how's that water quality working group?
Can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
Well, I met with him, only the two of us were there and we didn't accomplish much.
It does show you as unmuted, so I'm
Yeah.
not sure why we can't hear you.
And we heard you in the
cannot hear-
votes. We heard you in the votes before.
Check, check. Can you hear me now? There we go.
Yeah.
Weird. I don't know what happened. I'm gonna blame my toddler. Yeah, we had a meeting that was just me and Dave last week, I think. But we were chatting, trying to get some ideas about kind of building on the education outreach stuff, like what we wanted to do for that. And had a couple of ideas that we were spitballing around. I also saw in the minutes for last month, let me pull it up again if I can find it. Somebody mentioned something about wanting to potentially tour the new stormwater or like the new water treatment plant.
Yeah.
I think that's something we could get ginned up pretty easily if people are interested in doing that. Because I can just shout out the people at utilities and see if they could schedule us something. They also, the stormwater folks told us if we ever wanted to tour any of the kind of stormwater installations or projects that had to go in as mitigation stuff for construction projects in town, like any of the rain gardens or anything like that, if there was ever interest in that, just let them know and they'd be happy to, because they can just do inspections whenever they feel like it and bring us along. So if there's ever any interest in that kind of stuff, let me know. I can get it organized, and that can be some water quality working group stuff. Yeah, hopefully. What was that, Dave?
Where's the new water treatment plant?
I don't remember.
I see.
I remember them talking about it. I don't remember where it is.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, great.
Yeah, Carrie's right. I'll probably start bothering her and try and get more regular meetings on the schedule soon, but not too many before Eco Heroes, to try and start thinking about that. And also getting in contact with the utilities people again to see like how the follow-up, if because I'm assuming they've talked to their board about the like data collection they did last year and how they want to follow up and how we can help with that and everything. So we'll schedule things when I can get them.
Awesome. Thank you, Mitchell. That sounds great. All right. Okay, great. Well, then we're on to the next stage of our meeting. We're buzzing along at 7:19. We are now at the public comment section where members of the public can have 5 minutes to introduce themselves or just say hello or yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'll go. I'm Carl Geiser. Yeah, I attended a couple meetings ago. I'm just come to say hi again. I just wanted to point out a couple things. A couple meetings ago, you guys were having your big planning meeting. And you mentioned reaching out to potentially sending people out to like HOAs or neighborhood associations. I did have some informal discussion with my neighborhood association, and they'd be totally on board with you guys coming out. I also talked with Partridge East, some member of Partridge, some members of Partridge East who would also be interested. And I also talked to the leadership of Blue Ridge, and they would also potentially be interested in having you guys talk about the initiatives and eco heroes type stuff. So
Carl, thank you so much.
yeah, that's all I
amazing.
want to say.
That's incredible. Okay,
KARL.
that is fantastic. And I think, I can't remember, I think we had your contact information from a previous visit. Is that? If we're interested in following up on this stuff?
Yeah, we're happy to mind now.
Okay, great.
You don't have to say it.
You know, yeah, you
Yeah.
can. And your social security. Cool, well, we will, that sounds great. I would love to, yeah, keep nudging all of this along, and thank you so much for bringing that up in those conversations. That's really, really helpful. Great, well, thanks, Carl. All right.
Any other comments?
Yes, my name is James Ford, and I don't have a lot of formal comments, but some response to some things that have been said this evening. The first is a plug for a media outlet called B Square Bulletin, which is put together by a man named David Askins, and he wrote a nice article about the meeting from Monday night, the Plan Commission that they talked a lot about in North Grove. So if you missed that meeting, I advise that you go to the B Square Bulletin and find the article about that meeting. It's a very thorough, non-partisan, academic, intellectually written piece that will explain everything that went on in the meeting. Second thing, the comment about the lawnmowers and these flyers about lawnmowers. I live in a neighborhood where there's a lot of student rentals. So the people who cut the lawns are these lawn companies, which are very aggressive about trying to convince the property owners that they need to have their lawns cut this week, even though they don't, because they charge it again. And then they follow it up with weed eaters, which they don't need, and they follow that up with the leaf blowers. Every day, every week, they have leaf blowers, and they charge their owner, the property owners. And so it's frustrating. Who do you talk to? You can't really talk to these property owners because they're being told by their lawn companies that they have to have it cut done, and you can't talk to the companies. In my neighborhood, the last several weeks ago, there was a little bit of snow. They came out with their leaf blowers, not the snow blowers, the leaf blowers to blow the snow around. And it was very frustrating, and I thought it would be nice to have some city code regulation about maybe use rakes when you can, or use brooms rather than leaf blowers and weed eaters and gas powered equipment.
I think you've raised a very important question, and that is getting to the contractors. I live in a condo in Copper Tree, and everything is run by the big companies, you know. And it's much easier to contract it all and forget about it than it is to manage it well. And I think that's what we're seeking.
Third question I have is for Rachel. She made in passing a comment, and I just like to clarify. You said we cannot take into consideration environmental justice
Yes.
at some point, and I was
Yes.
hoping that you could explain what that means. I'm sorry, I'm naive.
No, that's okay. That's a federal and state executive order. Things like social and demographic data are not able to play into government decisions. So we aren't able to make decisions based on like race, social status, things of that nature. And that's coming from the state and federal administrations.
Thank you very much.
Under the current administration.
Under the current administration, yeah. Administration.
One more thing, does it require, you're looking for a liaison between this group and the tree commission. Does it have to be somebody who's on the commission?
I believe so. It has to be somebody appointed from the environmental commission. Yeah, thank you.
So we have open seats.
Yeah.
Right, technically, anyone could attend that and report to us, but there is a standing ECC on the tree commission, so.
Are you on the tree commission?
I've been attending the meeting.
Thank you, James. Thanks for sharing your thoughts and asking your questions. Okay, well, great. And there's no online members of the public?
No.
Okay. All right, okay, then moving along to the staff updates.
Okay. Did I put these in the right order is the question. I think I did. No, I didn't. Okay. So Councilmember Piedmont Smith asked, asked liaisons, from the Environmental Commission as well as the Commission on Sustainability to, share this grant opportunity. I think I looped in Carrie on that email. But so the Waste Reduction District is doing a community grant program. I think the deadline is coming up, pretty soon. I don't know much about this program personally. So there are project guidelines in the, in this, I think the last page of this packet. So let's see. Preference will be given to, innovative solid waste reduction, reuse, or recycling programs that can serve as models to other communities, and institutions in Monroe County. So if there's any, ideas that the EC would like to propose, and, follow up on, this would be a chance to do that. I don't really know much about this other than what is provided, on this sheet, and then the Waste Reductions website is, www.wastereductiondistrict.com. So that website is included in our packet. But I guess I wanted to just share this too, and, is this something that Special Projects is interested in pursuing, or if there's any ideas that anybody would like to share right now?
What's the date for this?
I think it's January 31st. I think it's really soon.
Okay. Who's funding the grant?
I believe the, Monroe County, or Waste Reduction District of Monroe County.
Okay. And I heard of this district.
Yeah.
That's different than collection and recycling.
Yeah, so this is, I don't know, so city residents, I assume, I'm not a resident of the city, so this is a little bit of assumption for me. I assume, the Bloomington has a trash collector or has a, contracts out a trash collector. I know I've been in meetings in the past where there's been confusion of like how to track the amount of trash because the Monroe County trash and the city of Bloomington trash gets into the same place. And sometimes the same trucks are used. So there's contracts in here. The Waste Reduction District is, a somewhat separate entity, I believe.
They probably work together with the.
I would say they work together.
Maybe they're addressing an issue that's going on and looking for ways to solve the overflow. Lack of recycling, whatever the issue is.
Okay, the Waste Reduction, District, looks like they might be the ones who run the recycling centers around Monroe County as a whole.
Yeah.
And I think they offer like, different like educational programs and stuff like that. So,
And they had a name change last year.
yeah, they were
to the
the
Waste
district.
Reduction. Yeah.
Now they're back to Waste Reduction District of Monroe. As Rachel said, these grants can go to nonprofits, schools, libraries, civic organizations, clubs, businesses. And they said it obviously was just like a jumping off point, but some ideas for things like purchase permanent bins for recycling, purchase a recycled content playground, park, trail equipment, composting equipment, proper disposal containers for like cigarette butts or pet waste. And then also funding environmental education and outreach activities. I think looking through this grant, I'd be open to what other people think. I think it's worth us really like giving it a hard look, but I think that this kind of thing might be the perfect opportunity as we're building out how we think about outreach. Does it make sense for us to like try to work with another organization or like help them do the grant, like do something where it's like, it's not necessarily environmental commission is receiving the grant, because I don't know that a lot of physical material belongings is what we're trying to necessarily fund. And it seems like that's more the direction that this is going to like help with like items that are needed. But it's definitely worth thinking about as far as like what are things that we would like to promote, especially as far as like waste disposal goes and stuff. Yeah, thanks, interesting. Any other thoughts people want to say out loud?
I mean, maybe they're also funding the time it spends to create a systems approach. I don't know if what does the funding go for? what
Yeah,
all
I mean-
can it go for?
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
I'd have
I
to read
think,
through
as I
it.
say, yeah, I think they try to outline this without being like too restrictive around, like, it has to be this or that, but trying to say like, these are the kinds of things, but I think it actually might list a few things that are not eligible as well, so.
I guess you have to find out what does the waste streaming consist of? Parts of the waste stream can be diverted or somehow recycled.
Yeah, and I think,
Do some research.
yeah, and I think that the idea is like, for the EC especially, what are our priorities? What is our role? What would make sense when we think about waste management as far as, recycling, food waste, things like that? When we think about who we are as a group, what makes sense for us to have as part of our initiatives, or what are priorities that we have, or groups or organizations that make sense for us to be thinking about as far as it pertains to the work that we do, and then saying, okay, in that view, is there something that would make sense for us to try and say, we could use a grant to do X? So I think it's kind of like figuring out like who we are and what makes sense for us. And anybody else that might need to be in that conversation, and then go from there. Cause yeah, look, thinking about all of like, what does waste look like in Bloomington is just overwhelming, and it's a mess because human, like our consumption and our waste is just a huge issue. So yeah, kind of figure out like what's relevant to us.
Another board for that.
I'm sure there's there's departments, there's entire district, groups in charge of this stuff, so yeah. Yeah, so if people have thoughts on this, please feel free to shout it out, but that's kind of, I think it's nice to try and like push ourselves into the mindset of like, okay, if we're gonna do this, what's it look like? And really try and make it happen, even if we don't end up doing it, getting ourselves into the habit of really trying to consider what opportunities are out there.
Okay. The other staff update I had is I had an email from the Monroe County Garden, or the Monroe County Master Gardener Fair. So that will be taking place on Saturday, April 11th, and it was an application for if any group would like to table. So does the EC typically table this event? Would you like to?
We have in the past, what do people think
Yeah,
about
I
that?
think we missed last year, maybe just because not enough people
We-
were available, but we
we were
have
too
in the
wide.
past.
You said it was April, what was it?
11th.
Oh,
So
oh,
it
yeah,
could be
so
the
Weekend
the week
before
before
Earth Day.
Earth Day.
Yeah, I think that's why we didn't do it last year. I think we all were okay with that when the moment came, but Matt, you've done the garden fair before, right? Do you want to describe it for folks who maybe haven't seen it?
I mean, it's just kind of the Switchyard Pavilion packed with, everything from vendors to other groups like MC Iris, and people have a presence. People distribute literature, or some people sell things. I think one of the things we did a couple years ago, the last time I was at it, was we brought a big pad of paper and asked people their environmental concerns. It was just like a way for kind of public facing feedback, and to maybe potentially inspire things for future planning type meetings. But we also had some of our lit there to hand out, and it was just it was a good way to have conversations with members of the public. So I think if we do have people who can attend, a couple hours at a time or something, that it would be worth doing. But it's going to come down to availability.
You can talk about the habitat.
Sure can.
There.
Someone.
And there are stickers now for the Habitat Connectivity Plan.
Yeah. And by that time, is it possible that we will have reviewed some of our materials that we hand out and had the opportunity to freshen things up or anything like that? If Fiona's able to present her slides.
That piece of material I showed you before, or during the working group meeting, I think that would just be as a digital format.
Mhm,
So,
right.
I can see if I think more discussion would need to be had, like what exactly, like the brochure, if you're wanting printouts, and like what that looks like.
For, not for Fiona's document that she's working on,
okay.
but using that as a reference for the things that we have that we currently would have handed out.
Oh, yeah.
Were there not to be some discrepancies in like what's in
Yeah.
printed material versus what Fiona's got, so. I mean, that would be like a couple of months to be able to like cross-reference what's in there and
Right.
make sense of what we're handing out.
Yeah. I think that would be enough time. I might ask you after the meeting, just to make sure I'm like understanding your question correctly. I think that would be enough time. Is there interest? It's a lift, but is there interest? So if you don't have that, the virtual document. Is there interest to update the brochures based off what is in the virtual document with like copy and paste and then the brochures to be printed out?
Yeah, I think that's
That's
more
a
or less
heavier
what we're
lift.
talking about,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. But I don't think it would have to be every single thing, I think it would be,
Okay.
cause we have.
I think she could do one brochure, I don't
10%.
know if she could do like all of the different brochures, exact replica, but kind of a consolidated brochure with, you know,
Yeah,
the information.
yeah, I think if it's okay with you for us to kind of like keep trying to see how far we can get this
Yeah.
and see what we can come up with it,
Yeah.
that might be nice.
Do you know if there's a deadline when we'd need to like sign up for this event?
Let's see, I think it works. Did you guys be a vendor? Maybe.
It doesn't look like there's a.
I haven't seen a deadline, but I will,
There we go.
maybe by March 15th.
At least by March 15th. Okay, is there anybody who is somewhat interested in tabling, were we to do that? April 11th, I think it's Saturday.
I'll be out of town.
Yeah, I can only be there for part of the day, we have to.
Oh, for sure, yeah, we wouldn't want them to do, yeah, we wouldn't want anyone to do the whole day. But yeah, if it's from, was it 9 to 4? Yeah, maybe we should do
Part
those.
of the day.
Can't be.
Lauren?
Yeah.
Okay, Adam. Oh. I mean, I think we have a few priorities going on right now that will be hopefully kind of primed for that. It'll be after the cutoff for Eco Heroes, but that's okay. We can still promote the fact that there will be supposedly an Eco Hero ceremony and stuff like that, but there's, you know, obviously lots of materials that we have, and the habitat connectivity plan for sure that we can talk about.
Janet noted she's out of town, otherwise she would, so just to talk about schedule of that week, so they'll be voting for Eco Heroes, whoever wants to come in and vote on the art. Which that time is not set in stone right now,
I think oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
just whenever commissioners come
Yeah,
into the
you're right.
department, and then, so there would be the Monroe County Garden Fair on April 11th. There is a environmental commission meeting the following Thursday and then Earth Day the following Saturday, so it would be a busy couple of weeks, so I just wanna make sure everybody is okay with dedicating that amount of time.
Good way to think about it, and everyone is not required to attend the garden fair and attend the Eco Heroes event. We of course would really, really love it to have all of the people that are available to help with these things, because that's how we do these things, but yes, those things are not required, and we're just
Just for fun.
just for fun, we'd love to have more bodies, especially when it's like sharing shifts and things like that.
I mean, it's a well-attended event, so I think if we confidently believe that we can have at least 2 people there at a time for that time period, I think it might be wise to do the indoor single space. If we don't collectively think we can pull that off, then this is still a good event, generally speaking, but it might not be our year. But if we have enough people who think they can put in at least a little bit of time there, so that we have a table, it would be a good opportunity to promote habitat connectivity plan, just have conversations with residents and have sun lit on hand. So.
Yeah.
And advertising the Eco Fair for the next year, I'll plug momentum.
Yeah, for sure,
Hear about
for
it,
sure.
remember the next year it comes around.
Yeah. So you can also just, Earth Day in general, like, hey, here's a fun Earth Day event.
Next weekend.
Yeah, just make sure I captured who was interested. I think I heard Heidi. Matt, were you interested in tabling or no? Maybe.
Yes, if I can.
Okay, and then I heard Adam Martinez, okay, we're
And
doing
Norm
Norm too, okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna be a strong maybe. I know. I think it's a great idea to do it, so if nothing else, like.
Do you want to sleep on it for a month and, decide formally at the February meeting? Since it seems like we have until middle of March to register.
Let's do that, let's do
Okay.
that.
I do have a comment, I just realized, unfortunately, I can't be there, but this would be a good place to advertise the habitat
Yeah.
connectivity map.
Yeah, for sure. Okay,
Just through a laptop or an actual paper map?
We can
or-
do it on phones too. It's one of those we have lit with the QR code, and that's been the most popular way at, or at least it was at Bugfest. So at our last tabling event,
Yeah.
that's the chosen route.
Cool. Cool.
I think that's all I have for the staff update.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, well, rounding the corner to the reports. We'll go ahead and go through. So Dave, I know that you ended your time at the tree commission, but was there any major takeaways you'd like to share with us from that meeting?
Well, I took notes on Monday, so, tree commission meetings. Basically always start unless there's outside business with the urban foresters report, Pascal Smith's report. This year this month he talked about removing a lot of dead trees. I missed where those were from, well, from all over the city actually. And a lot of calorie pears were taken out. There's a $50,000 grant for ash tree assessment. And so they have a grant doing that. The Tree City USA is somewhat different from Tree City, but we're now involved in that. We're very likely to get approval, and unlike with the B City, that's free. So that was basically his report. And then I gave a report about the Environmental Commission and what we had done last. Then we had a report from Mia Williams, who's the IU landscape architect. She talked about they didn't plant much last year. She wants a map of where trees on campus could be planted. And she's in fact going to retire from her job as landscape architect. I think she said in late April. So whether they will have somebody on the tree commission from the university after that, I assume they will. So that's what I have to say about the tree commission.
Perfect, thank you. Was there an ERAC meeting?
I told you about the December meeting at our last meeting here.
All right.
Nothing new from Friends of Lake Monroe.
All right, thank you, Dave. Matt, any viewings of the Ecos?
Yeah, I caught up. I was able to view on Cats, the one that I missed from December. They welcomed 2 new commissioners. They kind of discussed their 2025 in review and talked about how they wanted to do 2026 priority planning discussion and meetings and whatnot. I don't think they made any decisions on that. They just discussed. And their January one I watched, they had a really informative presentation on transportation emissions, how they're measured and their impact on our climate baseline.
Was that from a local representative or more state?
Yes, there were, and I don't remember the names. There was a person in at the table presenting, and there was someone else for the city who was virtual that had kind of provided some context. But it was a good half an hour presentation, I'd say, about the ways it should be measured and the way that that's affecting the city's data, because we were making a change on that.
Gotcha.
They also discussed, I guess it's funny seeing this back to back. They had 3 members rolling off. So yeah, gain 2, lose 3, I guess. They discussed planning, officers, rules. But again, it seems like a lot of that's going to be determined either at a special meeting or a next meeting. So that's what I got from Bicos.
Awesome, thank you, man. Great, and then let's see, lastly, MC Iris, I know Rachel, we just talked a little bit about.
I was not able to attend the meeting, yesterday, their agenda though, they haven't passed out minutes, but their agenda indicated that they were talking about the reduced invasive species, website, or part of their website. And so they are giving a $30 gift certificate if you, need to replace a Callery pear, tree of heaven, or an Asian bush honeysuckle. They've also talked about distributing yard signs, of just how to, the yard sign basically says how to control invasive species and gives a QR code to NC Iris website. And then they talked about, weed wrangles and their native plant sale.
Good. Okay, so at this point, I believe we are on to just commissioner announcements. So anything that is relevant to the EC, Dave, yeah.
I would like this to be my last environmental commission meeting. I plan to retire from this commission as well as from the tree commission.
Oh, Dave, breaking our heart.
Give us a heads up.
Oh, man. Well, Dave, thank you. I know you've done this for a long time and you've been supporting the Bloomington community and all of in various ways and caring for it. So thank you for doing this. It's been really amazing having you in the commission and also in all the different working groups and contributing so much.
Yeah, well, I haven't been contributing very much lately.
Here, I thought it's because you were moving to Tahiti and you're like, I won't be in Bloomington anymore. I'll be on a tropical island.
I see, and the tree commission meeting was down in the McCloskey room downstairs. Frank McCloskey, when he was mayor, appointed me to the environmental commission.
Wow.
So how long have you been on this commission?
Back in 1975, I did.
Wow. Wow.
50 years.
Wow.
Well, I was on it for 16 years.
Okay.
Man. Well, I'm sure I speak for all of us when I say I'm so sorry to lose you. We loved having you. You've been such an important part of the commission and I'm excited for you to have your Thursday nights free in future months. Who knows what you'll get into, but yeah, thank you so much for all you've done for the commission.
We know your boss is your garden, so hopefully it's a good boss moving forward.
Well, it let me down last year because of the weather, but I'm planning to come back with it this year. So we'll see.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
To
Yeah.
make the announcement that our February meeting says officer elections on it.
That was on my list.
Yeah, we don't have like a nominations type process or anything at this point, but I just generally wanted to encourage people to go for it. Yeah, the positions aren't scary. I would be perfectly happy if someone else wanted to do this spot. I could also stay at this spot, but I'd help people along. Don't be afraid of taking on a little more in the commission.
The roles of each officer is listed in the handbook, so it's in our most recent packet. It's also listed on our website under reports. So I will get the most recent one updated, so it'll say January 15th probably, but it's in our handbook, so if you're curious about that, feel free to review. And or ask me questions or ask questions to the current officers.
Yeah, that was on my list too of things to talk about. So the way that officers work, we have a chair who's a real mouthy leader, bossy person, and anyone is welcome to fill this role. We have a vice chair who is also our treasurer, so helps with how we handle the EC's budget. And then we have our secretary, who is the hero of the group, who takes notes on everything that we cover and then shares them with Rachel. We all look through and publish them each month. So all three of those positions can go to whomever. You don't have to be the most tenured person on the EC. It is somebody who is ready to be engaged, ready to come to as many meetings as they can and really be part of this group. But anyone who is interested in being nominated or being considered for one of these roles can just let us know. They can let me and Rachel know. You can say it out right now. And between now and the next meeting, I will be reaching out to a few of you to be kind of the nominating committee. And the goal of that is to basically come up with at least one nominee for each position that we can vote on. So those folks will just be, chatting amongst each other or communicating with other commissioners to say, would you be interested in being on the docket for treasurer this year, or vice chair treasurer? I know what you're thinking, Matt.
Yep.
We will need to have a formal meeting set for that conversation to happen. So
Yeah.
when I will work with
That
you on
counts as commission business.
Yeah.
I was more gonna say, yeah, prepare to self-nominate at the February meeting.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, is that a thing we're allowed to talk to each other about? Are you allowed to email the current chair and ask them about being the chair?
Because it's a voting item,
Because
questions
that's
about their experience of being the chair.
correct. Just
Like,
for
we've got, like, an
info.
office and hours to talk if people are curious.
Because I actually think it might be easier to not, I mean, we've had like a kind of slate committee in the past, but I don't know if we need to. I think
it might be, I thought it was in like the.
Is it?
I think
thought it
there's a
was.
nomination committee.
Yeah.
I would say it needs to be publicly noticed because it's about a potential vote, right? And it's about business and the duties of the commission.
Yeah.
I don't wanna give that answer, I think that's the right answer though.
Yeah. So, look forward to that, and it will be your option to say no if you do not want to be on the nominating committee, but it's also a great way for you to help shape the future of this commission, so please don't say no right away, is what I'm saying, but I will, we'll be in touch about that.
Can we just nominate the current people to stay what they're doing?
You can always do that, they can decline the nomination, but you can always bring in snacks and then ask, and you can have snacks. I'm just joking, and there's no bribery.
One way or another, be prepared in February, we have to fill the 3 roles.
Yep, and also, we have vacancies still, and I didn't see anything about the confirmation about the end of January
No,
position, so
I-
that's part of why we don't do it till February.
Yeah, commissioners who have terms expiring, if you have not heard about your reappointment, you can still serve in your role for 90 days after your appointment ends.
Okay.
So I know several of you have, I think Carrie, you're one of them. If you haven't heard by the end of January and still not by February, I think you're allowed to serve by in 90 days after January 31st.
The 2 vacancies, or soon to be 3 vacancies, do you know the breakdown of council versus mayor?
I didn't look real quick.
I'm mayor.
Okay,
And Dave, I guess
Guess
I
I
want
can
to
see that.
formally ask you if you would like to withdraw your application for next year.
Yes.
Okay, I figured, I just wanted to make sure it was okay for me to email them.
Yeah, it's like one
Just-
council, one
I
mayor.
was gonna say, I know there's someone in the room who's applied, and I wondered if there was any way we could nudge either the mayor or the council to help us get him on board.
They are aware of all of the applications.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah.
yes.
All that to say, when it comes to voting in officers, if for some reason someone gets voted in and then they are serving up to 90 days in a floating position and then they do not get reappointed to the commission, then we will have to just elect a new officer. It's kind of close out here, so.
I did notice that, or the environmental commission is appointed to, I think, interview committee B, if I'm remembering correctly. And there is not, whatever interview committee that, we are assigned to, they don't have a meeting set up right now. So if that, I can reach out to your council members to encourage a meeting to be scheduled.
Awesome.
The tree commission is getting new officers as well.
Man, okay, all right, okay, well, that was one of the bigger things. The other thing I just wanted to mention was Nadia, at one point, we had talked about potentially having Joe Cottle do a guest spot, and we had originally marked February as a potential date for that, so I just wanted to check in on if that conversation's happened, if you wanna propose a different date, or if that's something that you wanna check out and then let us know if that's something to plan for.
Yeah, I can definitely reach out to him. I stopped working at the DNR office in Bloomington in December when I graduated. I kind of like had everything come to an end.
Yeah, yeah.
So I can reach out to him because the holidays are over and he's probably back now and propose February, and I can let you know as soon as I hear something. So
Cool, that sounds great. And then, we had talked about Adam doing a presentation in March, if that still
Yeah,
sounds
that's
good for you.
fine.
Okay, cool. Great. Any other announcements from folks?
There was a correction, we are on committee B. Matt, you said it was, did have a meeting today.
Today at 5:15.
Okay, so I don't know the outcome of that meeting, but they met. So,
Okay. Cool, we'll take it.
yeah.
All right, any other announcements from commissioners when we've just got a few moments left? Amen. Okay. Well, it's 7:55.
Motion we adjourn.
Okay, it's second.
Second.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. It's 7:55. Have a great rest of your Thursday.